So I've just heard from Aria and she's approved our type and it's going into the completed box. And again, we could add more to this a little bit later if we wanted to. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to start work on the logo design. Now, how do we think about logo design? Now, there's actually, for some logos, two parts to a logo. So there's actually, you can see here, this is under consideration. It's brand new. It's a blog all about type. You can see on some of these, there's two parts to this. There's a logo mark and a logo type. A logo mark, logo type. For some, there's just one. For instance, on the Facebook one, it's just a logo type and it has this kind of gradient to it. But things like GoDaddy here, Warner Brothers, most logos have two parts to it. Some have just one, but we're going to work on both. So the first thing that we're going to work on is actually the logo mark, the kind of like the R in Revolut or the kind of logo here. Now, if you want some of this inspiration, places like Brand New are a good place to see new logo type. There are other experts in this, such as Koto, who did the Supai branding. So have a look at how the experts are doing this as well. There's not a kind of easy way to do this. And we go further into this on the visual design and branding course. Now, for me, I first of all do things in sketches and kind of like plan out a few things, draw things on paper and see what works. So what I've been doing in here is I've actually added to our mood board a kind of sketch of what I've been thinking about. So here we try to keep it like very shape based, kind of similar to the ones over here. So we're using this kind of like triangle system and circles in here. And also I've tried to be a little bit clever as part of this as well. So notice that Aria Ozo, A, O, I've tried to use the shapes for A and O. It's kind of trying to be a bit too clever for my own good. But what we're trying to do here is, make some sense of having a logo. You don't need to have it based on the name. It could just be some shapes. It could be based on your mood board in general. But this is kind of like how I've been thinking about this. So I've sent this to Aria and said, which one of these do you like? Is there anything in a certain direction? And she's actually gone for this bottom left corner one. So we're going to make this in our brand. So if I go to my brand page, I'm just going to make a new area in here. So I'm just going to focus on the logo mark for now. I'm just going to make this space up here, maybe 600 by 400. Doesn't really matter too much. I'm just going to give this frame name logo mark. So what we're going to do is basically recreate this bottom area here. And we're just going to do this very quickly using some of the shapes. So the shape tools here, if we click here, we can actually see what's available. There's rectangles, lines, ellipses, so circles, and polygons. So the main two that we're going to be using are ellipses and polygons, but we're also going to be using rectangles. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're not going to focus on color. We're going to make this black and white only. So kind of grayscales in here as well. So the first one I'm going to use is polygon, and this is going to be using the A in Aria. So I'm just going to make something that looks kind of like that for now. Again, we can kind of tweak this a little bit later. And we also need a circle as well. So ellipse, I'm going to add in as well. So I'm going to try and make these around about the same height. If I zoom in, it makes it a little bit easier. So watch out for the width on this as well. So I'll make sure that they're the same width. I've actually got some of the keys like Shift and Command actually help here. So Shift kind of keeps it the same size. Command as well kind of does that. So I'm going to make sure this is the same height, 150 by 150, and then just make sure. And what I can do here is add some guides as well. So if I click on this artboard, what I can do if I go to view and then if I scroll down to rulers is I can add some rulers in here to basically drag into here to make sure that that sits on the same line. Maybe I just want to kind of move that up. I can actually take that and put it there. Maybe I want to kind of align this top area as well. So I'm going to take this here. It's way too big. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So I've got this A and this O in place. Now, obviously I can then hide the rulers a little bit later and then say I don't actually need to see them. But on my final design, what I actually have is this kind of shape that cuts out. Now let's pretend that I want to kind of cut out this O, make it an actual O. What I can do here is add another ellipse. So I can add another ellipse. And let's say I want to kind of add this shape here that kind of sits in the middle. Now at the moment, of course, it's gray. I could just make it white. But what I actually want to do is cut this out. So the way that we're going to cut this out is I'm going to select both ellipses like that. And up here, there's some union tools. So what I can do is kind of add things together. I can subtract these shapes together. I can intersect them and exclude them. I want to take away this mini circle from the bigger circle. So if I select this, this now turns it into a hoop. So now if I just change the color to whatever, it automatically cuts out this middle bit. For instance, if I change the whole of the frame's background, you'll see this looks all the way through as well. So it doesn't really matter about the color. We're mainly focusing on the shape. So again, I'm just going to turn that to white. So this subtracts these two things. So in here, I've got this mini ellipse and this bigger ellipse. So this is a good way of making shapes. So what I want to do is basically make the next thing. I'm going to turn this back into grayscale on subtract. So again, maybe something like that. How do I actually go about doing this actual design? Well, here I want to kind of like do half of the triangle. So half of the triangle is actually going to be a rectangle, and the rectangle is going to sit around about here. So from this corner over to here. So I'm going to make this a little bit darker. And again, you can see this goes to the end. There we go. So how do I kind of subtract that? Well, I want to take this rectangle and this triangle here. I'm going to drag them so they're next to each other here and select them both using shift. And what I can do here is, well, I've got a few tools here that I can actually use. So I can subtract things. If I subtract things, it takes half of that away. It's not what I want. I can do union, which turns it into a big one. I can do intersect, which is the other side, which is this triangle intersects with this rectangle. And I can also do exclude, which is the opposite. So this and this shape only. But this isn't what I want. I kind of want to add this together. So I'm just going to go back and actually undo this. So undo to keep it back to what I wanted, which was this triangle and this rectangle. But what I can do is using this polygon, which is the triangle, I can actually use this as a mask. So what I'm going to do is take this, select both, and I'm going to right click both and use as mask. Now that will just do this one half. So this new mask group is this other part of the triangle. What I want to do is take this original triangle and actually make it the background of this whole thing. So I'm going to take this polygon, which is just the triangle, and basically copy this and select the whole thing and then paste it. Now at the moment this automatically has a mask, which is kind of why you can't see it. So I'm going to right click this and just flatten this. So now we can see this full triangle. I'm going to place it back into position that looks like that. There we go. And now what I want to do is move this below the mask group. So I'm going to drag this down under. So I've got two halves to this triangle now. Now again, I'm going to keep this as gray rather than actually fill this in. So how do I do this rest of this part? Well, again, I want to kind of start to group these two things together. I'm going to select this polygon and this mask group, and I'm just going to group this selection. So this is going to be the A group. And the next thing I want to kind of have a O group. So I'm going to group this. Well, that's already grouped, so let's ignore that for now. I don't want this middle section, so I'm just going to get rid of it for now. There we go, it's full circle again. I'm going to take this ellipse and move it out and remove this. So again, we're just going back to the full circle. What I want to do is have this kind of cross angle in here. So I'm just going to have four parts here. One mask here, one mask, one mask, and one mask. Well, actually it's only three because I can keep the general background color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this whole circle in place and then draw a rectangle in this kind of corner here. So again, just going to draw this in here. Now for this one, I can mask this or do union, one of these up here. I'm actually going to do a mask. So I'm going to use this mask. And then again, it's gray. So I'm just going to add some color to this just so we can see this. There it is. And do the same thing again. Or I could just copy this whole thing. I'm going to copy this whole mask group. And instead, I'm going to move this rectangle up in this corner instead. It's not big enough, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And again, this whole mask group, I'm going to change its color to maybe a kind of whiter gray, maybe, or a blacker gray, maybe a lighter one for now. And I'm going to do the same thing in the bottom corner. I'm going to copy that whole thing. Select the rectangle in between there and move this down into this corner and maybe make this one a different color. So maybe this is a kind of grayish color And again, I can start playing around with this as well. So this is a kind of quick way to make simple shapes. That one's not in the right place. Again, I can change some of the sizes on this to fit. There we go. So here what I've done is a very quick logo type that looks something in grayscale. The next thing we'll do is we'll link this in with some of the colors from over here. We'll do it in a very, very simple way, which is really nice. So something that's part of Figma, really quick way to add this stuff in. So here we have a simple logo type.